Do you got OBS ready?
Yeah, it's recording.
Alrighty. So you're starting right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just tell me when to start. Alrighty. Well, this is the WX podcast episode number 9, I believe. Either 8 or 9. It's been confusing considering how many podcasts have been either canceled, deleted, or just other stuff that's gone wrong with it. Okay, I guess it's episode number 9. Yep. And this episode we have Josh Moore with us. So, how are you, Josh?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. So, just tell us what you do and what your job is, pretty much.
Yeah, my job right now is chauffeuring. I run a nonprofit, an educational nonprofit, raising up statesmen and training and empower them. I moved from New Hampshire about, actually now 6 months ago. Time's flying. So that's my job. That's my passion. And that's what I've been working on. But I'm also helping my dad build his business as well, which is called Storm Warning. And we are a disaster preparedness, extreme weather education company. So, which involves lots of storm chasing.
Alrighty. All right. So, how did you get into weather?
Yeah, good question. My dad went to Florida State University from 2000 to 2004, but he grew up in West Texas. He lived in Amarillo, Midland, Midland, Odessa, Lubbock areas, all up and down the West Texas area. And at the age of 8, he became very passionate about weather. And once he had kids, my brother and I, we ended up taking a storm chasing tour as a family, but with my dad. It was not a tour of any sort with any company. So my dad was going to FSU at the time in 2000, and we decided that year to take a family vacation and go chasing severe weather in the Great Plains. We started off doing it a week, and then 20 years later, actually it'd be 21, we've been doing it solidly as a family, chasing tornadoes, and started chasing hurricanes as a family in 2012. So I was 11 years of age when I saw my first tornado.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay, so what tornado do you remember the most distinctly?
Man, y'all probably know this, especially the weather chaser community, because every tornado is so unique.
Right.
I think probably... Well, more recently was the Vernon, Texas outbreak on April 23rd, I believe it was, of this year. I was there for that and spotted 5 tornadoes. So that comes to mind immediately. But I would also say probably 2018, we had a Wyoming outbreak for 4 or 5 tornadoes on a particular, I forget what date it was. It was in the end of May. So we were there for that as well. There was a rain-wrapped wedge across the road, but that was probably one of the most memorable. And of course, Colorado. Colorado was just awesome. 2016.
Yeah. All right. So Andrew, Justin, you guys got any questions?
Yeah. So weren't you a state representative for New Hampshire?
Yes, I was. Yeah, 4 years, 2 terms.
How was that experience?
It was a lot of fun. I juggling that with the storm chase. So pretty cool. But that's my passion. I want to make a difference in my community where I'm at, and move forward and change culture and restoring So that's like I said, that's a passion that I do. But I also do storm chasing on the side. Helping my dad with the business and getting storm coverage and assisting in that way.
Alrighty.
Where was the first tornado at?
Where was my first tornado at?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was May 29th, 2001. It was White Deer, Texas. I actually I made a comment on Twitter about 3-4 weeks ago, and Reed Timmer responded to it, and he said, yeah, he wasn't there for that one. I think that was the one also Tim Samaras missed. There weren't that many chasers on it. That was my first tornado. It started the storm blew up in Vega, Texas, just west of Amarillo, and it tracked. And within about an hour, it dropped a cone-shaped tornado, which eventually became a half a mile wedge and a half a mile wide wedge. And I haven't got confirmation on this. I need to find this out. It was an F3 at the time, so keep in mind for anybody who's listening, the Fujita scale was not enhanced until February of 2007. This tornado was in 2001, so it was still on the F scale. But I want to say that was one of the few twisters that they went and did a preliminary analysis, similar to what they did with Hurricane Zeta, and I think they upgraded that one to an EF4 based on the damage that it had done. But either way, it was still a violent tornado. I remember it picking up a silo and shit, truck and crumpled it to pieces and tossed it 100 yards. It was incredible. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that would be like today. Live streaming that live, like that'd be incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord help the people that it affected. Of course, it killed cattle. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but it did a significant amount of damage for that area.
Right.
Yeah. So, what was your experience like in this year?
My experience this year has been a little bit different, mostly because now I'm living in Texas. That hasn't happened before. I just moved here from New Hampshire. So what we would do is every May, when May would come around, we would put either 2 or 3 weeks aside, and we would all four, mom, dad, brother, and I would fly out to Dallas or the city, and we would rent a vehicle or bring our own perhaps and take off. I know that we shouldn't say we rent vehicles, but what we do. That's what Reed Timmer does too, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't put a claim on it. No. But that's what we would do, and we'd go out there. And so now it's totally different because, again, I'm here and I'm the eyes and ears on the ground for the storm warning, our company. So when I have a chance and I'm able to, I like to go out and do the, obviously, not just storm spotting, but storm chasing. It's a lot of fun. That's why I went for Vernon. That was an enhanced day. It had a 5% risk. I was chatting. I keep this in mind too. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm just strictly a chaser. My dad's the meteorologist and chaser. So he was kind of feeding me information.
Okay.
And from there, and I said, okay, well, I need to find out where the dry line is, and so on and so forth. So eventually I nailed it down. Beautiful shot. I mean, stunning shots. I cannot believe it. Great. But this year is it's been a little different again because I live here, putting a lot of miles on the car. But this year, I gotta say, have been photogenic twisters, but there haven't been very many. We're still on a down low for tornadoes. Yeah. God bless people that are in the path of them, right? But except yesterday, apparently Iowa had a really nasty outbreak yesterday. We're still waiting.
Oh yeah, overperformed.
Yeah, it really did. I was watching the pictures come in. I said, "You got to be kidding." I could have taken 3 days off work, and oh my god, that would have been worth it. I was like, dude, come on.
Yeah, everyone was downplaying yesterday. Everyone was saying it was blessed again.
It was the one day where everyone
95%.
It was okay. There are so many days up in like Iowa, Illinois that are like
right.
There's a whole bunch of things that could go right and like one thing that could go wrong, and then it goes wrong. But then yesterday is the day that a whole bunch of things could go wrong, and none of them did. So
yeah, it went extremely right.
Unfortunately,
that's totally right. Yeah, you're on point, and I think that's important to consider on any outbreak. Granted,
yes.
We had 2 high risk outbreaks in if we remember in was it March and into April Southeast. The first one performed really well. The second one was a mess, and I'm glad I didn't go for it. They still had twisters, but it was really Brandon Kopic, I think is his name. The big wedge that crossed the highway and went into the tree line. That was pretty nasty. But I'm with y'all. Some of these overperform, some of them underperform. But that's meteorology, and I see so much drama in the weather community on Twitter.
There's so much drama. Oh my god, it's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I do have a question.
Sure.
So, what are some obstacles or obstacles or challenges that you face as a storm chaser?
Man, that's a really good question. Well, number one, I think equipment is an obstacle. The lack of equipment, right? we don't have an extensive setup that other chasers do. We have the laptop on the seat and going through all that jazz. I would say probably the biggest obstacles is the fact that my dad on our team is the only credentialed meteorologist. He's the only one on our team who actually understands weather and how it works. I've been learning a lot as I go, but I'm certainly no meteorologist. I would never, attain to that. But I do understand the basics. And I think it's probably the biggest thing because I know that there are chasers out there who have their buddies with them and they're all in the kind of weather community, which is so cool. I think it's great that they have that. But it's sort of, I think we're kind of put at it sort of somewhat that way. And it's not right, wrong, or indifferent, right? It's just, it is what it is. But it is an obstacle. And we still make do. We still get really, really great stuff. And I think that's probably the biggest one to me that comes to mind immediately.
Nice.
What was your favorite year chasing?
Oh man, you got it. Dang man. Well, I'll tell you the first thing that comes to mind actually is 2008. 2008 was one of the biggest tornado years on record, and we did chase that. I remember being in Waukene, Kansas, and there was a 2-day outbreak where there were, like over 100 tornadoes in 2 days. And I remember being in Waukene. We were traveling between Waukene and Hayes, and you could see the dropping out of cells from 30 miles away. There was 2 or 3 tornadoes on the ground along the highway as we were driving. I remember that. And I remember just north of the center of Waukene, we were traveling, and there was pacer convergence like no. But this beautiful twister was dancing in the field. I mean, it was big, and there was a dust cloud. Everything was going. Oh, it was so beautiful. Unfortunately, I do remember deleting all of our footage on that one because I was so excited that I found the video on VHS. Yeah, we had a VHS back then. And I rewound it on the way back to the hotel because I wanted to watch that footage. Stopped it. Just slightly at the beginning into the video, I stopped it and then recorded the hailstorm in that night over the tornado footage.
Oh man!
Yeah, there you go, Josh. Totally ruined it.
Dang,
man, I was really upset about that. But that was a phenomenal day.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just forgetting the dates on it. You can look it up if you do the Waukene, Kansas 2008 outbreak. You'll be able to find it. I think Tempest Tours has a bunch of pictures up on their website from it. I'm sure other chasers do too.
Yeah, man. So, how have you been able to sell any storm footage, or are you not interested in that?
Yeah, we've been able to sell storm footage. Nothing tornado-wise yet, although we're working right now. We do have interest on some of the canvas photos we've been creating from some of our own personal photos. Tornadoes, especially burning. But we have sold or licensed, I guess you could say, footage from hurricane last year, Hurricane Laura and Hurricane Delta.
Oh,
So the licensed footage. We were in Hurricanes Laura, Delta, Zeta, and Eta last year. Excuse me, Sally. We were also in Eta too. But that was a tropical storm when it hit. So we were in the 5 tropical cyclones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was wild. Hurricane Laura was by far the worst storm I've been in.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, what is the strongest hurricane that you've been in? And you just
No, it was going to be a great follow-up question, man. Doing my job, I get to talk to clients. They ask that a lot, and Hurricane Laura was pretty intense. I have to say, we were not far from the airport, which had clocked 135-mile-an-hour gust, and I remember the buildings. I could hear roofs coming off houses in buildings. I remember the power flashes. My vehicle sustained a couple of dents from debris. And our hotel got just not destroyed. It got messed up pretty bad. It was a brand new Holiday Inn Express, but the one across the street from us looked like Godzilla had come in with his claw and ripped the roof off. It was man, it was crazy. So that was pretty bad though, because I remember the target sign came off the building and rolled toward my car, nearly hit us. My adrenaline was maxed out that night. I don't think we went to bed until like 4 a.m. But
Yeah, I
Man.
remember when Hurricane Laura was coming in. I was talking with a friend, and we said that Cameron, Louisiana, probably wouldn't be around anymore after it.
I know, and surprisingly, there's still a few structures up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
I think
same.
like
It
3
did
or
topple.
4, but there are a few
You're right.
structures.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. My dad and I considered driving to Cameron, leaving my vehicle in Lake Charles. We were going to Uber into Cameron, and we just thought about it. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. In the end, I'm not sure why we didn't do that, but ended up staying like all the other chasers. We stayed in Lake Charles, and I'm glad we did. Now, I will say one thing we did differently than the other chasers did. I noticed a lot of them parked their vehicles in the parking garage downtown because they were all expecting, right, the flood surge. If you remember, the news kept saying there will be an unsurvivable flood surge, and it's going to be anywhere from 3 feet to 17 feet deep anywhere in Lake Charles. That did not happen because the hurricane shifted track just slightly, right? And all the damage that was done in Lake Charles was all wind damage, which was just incredible to me. I thought, usually it's half and half, or a lot of flood surge and rain, but this was all wind damage, which was just phenomenal seeing that happen.
Yeah, I don't think I've really seen any hurricanes just do wind damage much.
Exactly. And that's what shocked me. When I'm explaining it to people, I'm like, look, everything you picked, all the damage, it's not rain. It wasn't flood. It wasn't.
No, it was wind.
It was all strictly wind. I'm sure there was few pockets of areas that had some.
Yeah, but that definitely wasn't the main impact or the main driver behind the damage.
That's right. You're absolutely right. So I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah.
Obviously, my heart went out and still goes out to the people of Lake Charles because they still have not recovered. They have blue tarps all over their roofs.
And they keep getting hit with more rain events. Like they can't catch a break.
So they can't get a break, man.
That location is haunted, it seems like. They just get hit with more and more events. It's sad.
Yeah, like May 17th or something this year, it got everyone was expecting the big Texas event, which did happen, but Louisiana had like 6 tornadoes, and
yeah,
Lake Charles was in Lake Charles, actually.
Yeah, one of them was in Lake Charles.
That's true.
That's a good place to live, I guess, if you want severe weather and extreme weather.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You get plenty of it if you go there.
And just live in the South, really.
Well, not Georgia. You don't live here. We don't get anything in Georgia. Not here.
Except that EF4 you got back in March or April, I think.
Yeah, doing it. But I'm about 50 minutes away.
But, the problem is it's all. I think that one was rain wrapped, wasn't it? It was at night.
Yeah, it was around midnight, like 12:15, 12:20. Because I was getting back from chasing. Yeah, it's completely wooded. Oh well. It's a suburban area, but it's definitely wooded. But I was coming back from chasing in Alabama on the way. Yeah, I had heard about that. It was horrific because right through the center of the town. And it's such a densely populated area, so it's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, have you ever seen an EF5 before, or are you yet to see one?
I feel like I'm sitting in the movie, that scene from Twister right now. Does anybody EF5? Only one of us. No, I haven't seen an EF5. I part of me wants to say I'm really bummed that I haven't, but the other part of me also says, well, that's good that I haven't. That it means it didn't, it wasn't there and it didn't hurt anybody. So no, to answer your question, I have not seen an EF5. There were 2 very well-known tornadoes that everybody knows about, and we were pretty relatively close to them. One was the Moore, Oklahoma tornado in 2013. We were actually in Moore, Oklahoma that morning. We left because the Red River Valley was supposed to get severe weather. The numbers were high for tornadoes that day north of Wichita Falls. And so we went down there and we did intercept a supercell that created this massive rotating wall cloud, and it never touched the ground. But while we were watching that, we heard some guy in his pickup truck drove by and he goes, y'all hear about the tornado and more? And we're like, what? And they said, yeah, it's on the ground. We turned the weather radio on, and sure enough, they said there's a large wedge right now, violent wedge going through more. We're like, oh my God, we were just there this morning. What the heck? Why didn't we just stay there? Yeah, but we did see the supercell. We saw that supercell that dropped the tornado blowing up that afternoon as we left lunch. We were eating Golden Corral. Yeah, Golden Corral. And we left out. So there was that one, and then we were also in 2011. We were in Parsons, Kansas, when the Joplin, Missouri tornado occurred. Oh, yeah. We were in Parsons, Kansas. Actually, there's an old YouTube video on there too, where they go through the day and where the storm formed, and they actually mentions Parsons, and you can see it on the map. Which again, I was like, that's cool. That's where we were, but we couldn't get out of there because there were two factors playing into us not being able to go after it, or choosing not to go after it, I should say. One was it was heading into the woods in the Ozarks. So my dad and I used to not like chasing in there. Now we'll chase anywhere. So I wish we had started that years ago. That, and it was producing baseball size hail, and we had a rental vehicle we didn't want to damage. So those two factors played into us not going after it, and we went out to dinner. I remember it. We were in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, whatever, north of Tulsa. And I remember us going to get barbecue for dinner. We got back to the hotel, and the news was on, and everybody was going gasping, and they were like, oh, can't believe it. And we're like, what the heck happened? And then we looked and said, oh, my God. After it. It was a sad day. Both of those days were very sad.
Yeah.
The closest I've been to a strong tornado, like the most recent, was Cookeville, Tennessee.
You were how many miles from that, Andrew? Like 30?
Cookeville? 50.
Yeah, and by the way, I can kind of relate to what the stories about missing the EF5s, but just on a much smaller scale. I missed Vernon because my friend told me to stay on the Benjamin storm, and I got a beautiful mesocyclone, but no Tor.
Oh.
And then the other one was I missed Happy. I saw the Happy storm blowing up, but my other friend, who was actually chasing it in another vehicle that we met up in Silverton, he said, don't go after the first storm that forms. And I took his words too literally, and I missed Happy.
Yep. See, man, that happened. We've done that numerous times. In fact, it wasn't the same day as Happy, I don't think. No, it wasn't. Sterling City is what we missed, and we were in Sterling City an hour before Happy. We were just like, oh, look at that beautiful supercell on the map. This one looks like it's dying, and then we just kind of let ourselves go, our minds go. We were getting kind of tired, and so we went after it. And then, of course, we looked back. I said, Dad, oh my God, are you kidding me? This thing's like an hour behind us, and it's dropped a huge twister. And I was looking at the Twitter feed. I said, oh, man, this is so disappointing. We could have just stayed in Sterling City, and we'd have epic footage right now. But, you win, you lose some, right? It's part of the chase.
Yeah, we met up in Silverton for March 13th, and then we went to chase Nazareth. We went away from freaking Silverton, and then an hour later, Silverton. There's a EF2 going right through Silverton. Completely missed it.
It's frustrating even thinking about it again. It's like
March was a terrible month considering, well, at least for me, for considering how many times I chased. Just like 5 times, got 0 tornadoes. I chased March 13th, missed that. Chased it was one of. I want to say it was the day before one of the big events in Dixie. I went to chase near Comanche, Texas, completely missed a tornado because I was on the wrong side of the storm. Didn't want to blow up my windshield. And then Rusk, Texas, in Far East Texas, we were up in Tyler. We got 10 miles away. Same thing happened. Didn't want to blow up my windshield. And there were 2 EF2s and 3 EF1s from that one cell, and I completely missed it.
That's such a bummer. This similar happened to me on the, March 13th as well. I actually took a friend of mine for her first time storm chasing out, and we ate lunch in Amarillo, got out, and all of a sudden the supercell was blowing up. But one thing my dad's always told me to do, of course he wasn't there at the time. He probably would have made a different decision than I did, but he he always tells me, let's stay ahead of this thing and then let it kind of pass over us, or just to our north so we can get behind it, and little strategies that we use like any chaser would use. But I said, man, these things are hauling butt and they're going to go out over the canyon. I said, we could drop south, and go south of Amarillo and then head down toward Happy and, in that area. But I said, then this thing could take off really fast and we'd have to jet back up north and go back east. And by the time we're caught in the rain and everything, we can't see anything. So we made the decision to just book it east and head to Clarendon in that area. And of course, it did come through there. Actually, Reed did a phenomenal job. He was right down the road from us, and I missed it. The tornado went right through town. Briefly, I think EF1 maybe, but I definitely missed all those twisters that day. Even though we were surrounded by them, I thought this sucks, man. Yeah. But Vernon, hey, I was redeemed for Vernon. I was like, yes.
Yeah, the only 2 tornadoes I've gotten this year. This year has been not very good for me. I chased one time in January, one time in February, and then March, what happened. And then April, I missed Vernon, which was annoying. And I was thinking, at least I'll get something in May. Well, May was a big month, but I couldn't chase because my leg was broken.
Ah,
right.
Sorry to get that. It really does suck.
Yeah, it's all right.
We did end up spotting that the tornado as it roped out south of Hays, Kansas on was it in June? No, it wasn't June because I think we left by there. It was like it was the big day that Nebraska had those beautiful twisters in southwest Nebraska.
May 26th, I think.
Yes, May 26th, correct. Yeah, so they said there's a large cone on the ground, and we were on these dirt roads, which we broke our rule, but we don't like to get on dirt roads, but we did it anyway. Glad we did because we did spot it as it was a trunk shape, and then it roped out and everything. I said, oh man, we caught the last 3 minutes of this thing, but that was such a beauty. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
now
Josh, what was the biggest hail you've ever seen?
Beautiful.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Yeah. I thought you cut out for a second.
No. I just didn't want to interrupt. I know I was talking over someone, so apologize.
That's all right. It's all right. It's Andrew was asking what the biggest hail you've ever seen was.
Yeah.
Oh, biggest hail? Softball.
Softball.
That was in Midland, Texas. I don't remember the day though. It was in May because we were chasing, and we were driving downtown. Actually, these little softballs just started coming out of the sky, and I mean the first one hit our window and it shattered. Boom, splintered glass right across. So my mom's yelling at me, "Get the pillows!" And I'm grabbing pillows from the windshield. I mean, they're falling out of the sky, shattering on the ground, bouncing up, and still hitting the windshield and cracking it. I was like, "Oh, dang!" So that was pretty wild. Yeah, that was the biggest hail I've seen. I've seen baseball size probably at least a dozen times. At least that many, I would say. But yeah, softball was definitely. Honestly, you know what? We were in Burnett last year in May, and they had one of the biggest hailstones there, the grapefruit that came through somebody's roof. Right. Of course, in Hondo, down south in Hondo, Texas, this year they had the record hail. But last year, Burnett was pretty crazy. We spotted a few tornadoes as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, I have a question. Just one more. So what advice would you give to aspiring storm chasers?
Well, I definitely say do what you can to get out there and hit the road. You don't have to stay in. You don't have to have a ton of. In fact, it can be super adventurous. Do what we do sometimes and just bring a little cot, a little blanket and stuff, and kind of lay out and pursue it. Pursue it and enjoy. I would say this probably one of the best advice I can give. Enjoy what you get, because I have not enjoyed every moment of my storm chasing because I'm pressured to get the tornado and just want tornadoes, and I'm losing sight of the beauty of the mesocyclone and the spinning striation clouds, and the beauty of the storm itself. Definitely enjoyed the journey getting there.
Right.
Nice.
I agree.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so Andrew, you have any more questions?
Yeah, this is the last one. Which one do you think is more exciting to chase, hurricanes or severe weather?
Probably severe weather, only because I can physically see the motion. Don't get me wrong, hurricanes are a blast to be in because I love nothing more than strong winds. Strong winds to me are some of the best thing to be in, and hurricanes will definitely do that. But it's wind. When I can see the beauty of extreme weather in nature being unleashed right in front of me and watching that tornado, that the dust being picked up and just watching the motion, it's beautiful, especially if it's not hitting property and hurting people. It's, as y'all know, you've been out there chasing and see these things. There's not much like it. It's truly magnificent to witness. So tornado spotting severe weather and tornadoes would probably be more fun to me.
Alrighty. Well, that's really nice.
Yeah. Awesome.
So Jackson, you going to close us out?
Yeah. Well, actually, just one more quick question. Have you kept track of how many tornadoes you've seen?
I've kept a ballpark figure. I haven't kept track to the tornado. I venture to say I have seen about 70.
Alrighty.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, this has been episode number 9 of the WX podcast. We hope to see you on